The stars glimmered coldly against the vast darkness of space, where the diplomatic vessel of the Galactic Confederation slowly traversed the cosmic expanse. Ambassador Seok Park sat in his observation deck, fingers lightly tapping against the holographic display that showed minimal information about the planet called Earth. His species had encountered thousands of civilizations across multiple star systems, but something about the human reports felt different. The data was incomplete, fragmented, almost intentionally obscure. Seok adjusted his communication headset, preparing for what he believed would be another routine first contact scenario. The ship's advanced quantum sensors began scanning the solar system. Standard protocol dictated a careful approach. Passive observation before any direct communication. But something unexpected started happening. The sensors detected multiple technological signatures that didn't match the initial assessment of human capabilities. Spacecraft designs that seemed to blend organic and mechanical technologies populated the outer regions of Earth's solar system. Satellite networks complex enough to make most advanced civilizations look primitive crisscrossed the region. Each scan revealed another layer of technological sophistication that contradicted everything in the initial reports. Seok Park felt a subtle shift in his understanding. These weren't just random technological developments. They represented a coordinated strategic expansion of technological capabilities. Humans weren't just developing technology, they were revolutionizing it. His communication officer, a veteran of hundreds of first contact missions, looked unusually tense. "Ambassador," she said, her voice carefully controlled, "the human communication patterns are unusual." Unusual was an understatement. The human communication networks operated with a fluidity and adaptability that seemed almost alive. Multiple languages, complex encryption methods, and rapid information exchange characterized their systems. It was like watching a living, breathing technological organism. The diplomatic vessel continued its silent approach, recording every minute detail. Seok Park reviewed the initial communication protocols. Typically, first contact involved carefully structured messages, diplomatic niceties, and measured responses. But something told him these humans would be different. Historical records suggested humans were a species characterized by rapid technological evolution, unpredictable strategic thinking, and an almost aggressive approach to problem solving. Where most civilizations took centuries to develop basic interstellar technologies, humans seemed to compress developmental stages into mere decades. As the ship drew closer to Earth's orbital region, strange automated defense systems flickered into view. They weren't aggressive, but they weren't passive either. These were intelligent, adaptive systems that seemed to be studying the approaching vessel as much as it was studying them. Seok Park felt a strange sensation he rarely experienced in his diplomatic career. Uncertainty. The initial reports describing humans as a fractured, somewhat primitive species seemed laughably incorrect. Whatever was happening in this solar system represented something far more complex. The communication systems suddenly lit up with multiple simultaneous transmission channels. Not threatening, but overwhelmingly sophisticated. Mathematical equations, cultural references, technological specifications, all intertwined in a communication matrix that defied traditional diplomatic engagement. "Prepare standard first contact protocols," Seok instructed his team. But even as he spoke, he knew those protocols would be inadequate. Humans were not just another species to be categorized and understood. They represented something entirely different. The vessel's advanced quantum computers struggled to process the incoming human communications. Each transmission seemed to carry multiple layers of meaning, technological specifications blended with cultural nuances, strategic information hidden within seemingly random data streams. Seok Park realized they were not just approaching a new civilization. They were encountering a technological phenomenon that would challenge everything the Galactic Confederation understood about species development, technological evolution, and interstellar communication. As the diplomatic vessel continued its approach, one thing became crystal clear. This first encounter would be anything but routine. Humans were about to rewrite the rules of galactic interaction, and Ambassador Seok Park was going to be at the center of this unprecedented moment. The stars outside seemed to shimmer with anticipation, silent witnesses to a meeting that would change everything. The communication systems aboard the diplomatic vessel crackled with unexpected energy. Ambassador Seok Park watched as the first detailed transmissions from Earth began to unfold, revealing layers of complexity that defied all previous expectations. Initial data streams showed something remarkable. Human technological development wasn't just progressing, it was exploding in multiple directions simultaneously. Where most civilizations develop technologies sequentially, humans seem to innovate across multiple scientific domains with breathtaking speed. Quantum computing algorithms mixed with biological adaptation technologies, artificial intelligence systems that could learn and transform faster than any known galactic standard, material science that rewrote fundamental understanding of molecular structures. Each transmission revealed another layer of shocking innovation. Seok Park noticed how human communication itself was a technology. Their networks didn't just transmit information, they transformed it. Adaptive algorithms that could predict, modify, and respond faster than any known communication system. It was like watching a living, breathing technological organism. The ship's senior analysts began comparing human technological markers with known galactic civilizations. The results were stunning. In less than 200 years, humans had compressed technological developments that typically took thousands of years for other species. Space exploration technologies that combined mechanical engineering with biological adaptation. Medical technologies that could potentially reverse cellular aging. Energy production systems that extracted power from quantum fluctuations. Each discovery was more mind-breaking than the last. What truly surprised Seok was the human approach to problem-solving. Where most civilizations followed strict, linear technological development, humans seemed to leap across scientific boundaries. They didn't just solve problems, they'd reimagined entire technological paradigms. Communication intercepts revealed something even more fascinating. Humans weren't just developing technologies, they were doing so through collaborative, competitive, and sometimes chaotic processes. Universities, private companies, government agencies, and individual researchers all contributed to a massive interconnected innovation ecosystem. The diplomatic vessel's computers struggled to process the incoming information. Multiple communication channels revealed complex networks of scientific exchange. A researcher in one part of their planet could spark an innovation that would be developed, modified, and improved by teams across different continents within weeks. Seok Park watched the data with growing fascination. Human technological development wasn't just fast, it was exponential. Each breakthrough seemed to create multiple new pathways of scientific exploration. Where other civilizations would spend centuries perfecting a single technology, humans were creating entire new technological landscapes. Biological technologies were particularly surprising. Genetic modification, neural interface systems, and adaptive medical technologies suggested humans were not just exploring technology, they were fundamentally redesigning their own biological capabilities. The ship's quantum analysis systems began detecting patterns that suggested something even more profound. Human technologies weren't just advancing, they were creating feedback loops of innovation. Each technological breakthrough created multiple new paths of scientific exploration. Energy production technologies showed similar revolutionary characteristics. Fusion systems that could extract power from minimal resources. Solar technologies that approached near-perfect efficiency. Quantum energy transmission systems that could potentially power entire planetary networks. Communication networks revealed another shocking discovery. Humans had developed global information systems that allowed instantaneous knowledge transfer. A scientific breakthrough in one research facility could be analyzed, modified, and improved by teams across the planet within hours. As the data continued streaming, Seok Park realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humans weren't just another species developing technology. They represented a fundamentally different approach to scientific and technological evolution. The diplomatic vessel's systems continued recording, each transmission revealing another layer of human potential. What had initially seemed like a routine first contact was transforming into something far more significant. Humans weren't just another civilization to be categorized and understood. They were a technological force that would reshape galactic understanding of scientific development. And this was just the beginning. The diplomatic vessel hung motionless in space, surrounded by an unexpected spectacle that defied all conventional understanding of military technology. Captain Ja Kim's human fleet emerged from quantum-fold spaces, materializing with a precision that made Ambassador Seok Park's technological systems momentarily freeze. These were not ordinary spacecraft. Each vessel seemed to breathe with an intelligent life of its own. Modular design elements allowed ships to reconfigure mid-movement, adapting their structural configurations faster than the eye could track. Where most galactic civilizations designed rigid military vessels, humans had created something closer to living technological organisms. The first wave of ships demonstrated capabilities that shattered everything Seok Park understood about space combat. Smaller vessels could literally merge and separate, creating larger combat platforms in seconds. Weapon systems didn't just fire. They predicted potential threat trajectories, adjusting their attack patterns before an enemy could even consider a defensive maneuver. Quantum communication networks connected each ship with a synchronicity that felt almost supernatural. No centralized command structure limited their movements. Instead, each vessel operated with individual intelligence, while simultaneously functioning as part of a larger collective intelligence. It was like watching a massive technological organism that could think and adapt in milliseconds. Defensive systems were equally remarkable. Energy shields didn't just block incoming attacks. They absorbed, analyzed, and developed counter-frequencies in real time. Incoming projectile weapons would find their trajectories mysteriously altered, redirected by adaptive electromagnetic fields that seemed to anticipate movement before it happened. Ambassador Seok Park watched in growing horror as the human fleet demonstrated technological capabilities that made the Galactic Confederation's most advanced warships look like primitive constructs. These weren't just spacecraft. They were mobile, adaptive technological platforms that rewrote the fundamental understanding of military engineering. Stealth technologies went beyond simple invisibility. Human ships could manipulate quantum signatures, essentially becoming undetectable by blending with background radiation and spatial energy patterns. Traditional scanning methods became completely useless against such advanced camouflage techniques. The most terrifying demonstration came when the fleet began showing cooperative technological behaviors. Smaller vessels could transfer energy, share computational resources, and even temporarily merge computational matrices to solve complex strategic problems. What looked like a fleet of individual ships was actually a single, massive, distributed intelligence. Weapon systems defied conventional understanding. Plasma-based energy weapons could change frequency and intensity mid-attack. Quantum entanglement technologies allowed projectiles to potentially exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Traditional defensive strategies became meaningless against such advanced technological approaches. Propulsion systems revealed another layer of shocking innovation. Ships could literally fold space around themselves, creating micro-wormhole transit systems that allowed near-instantaneous repositioning. What would take most civilizations hours of careful navigation could be accomplished by human vessels in mere seconds. The diplomatic vessel's sensors struggled to process the incoming data. Each moment revealed another layer of technological sophistication that seemed to challenge the fundamental laws of physics. Seok Park realized they were witnessing something more than a military demonstration. This was a statement, a clear, unequivocal declaration of human technological potential. As the fleet continued its demonstration, no aggressive actions were taken. They simply existed, displaying capabilities that made their technological superiority abundantly clear. No threats were needed. The technology itself was the message. Ambassador Seok Park felt a cold realization settle into his consciousness. The reports, the initial assessments, the diplomatic briefings, everything had been catastrophically wrong about humans. This wasn't just another species. This was a technological force that could potentially reshape galactic civilization. The human fleet continued its silent, perfect demonstration. No words were needed. Their very existence spoke volumes about humanity's potential. And in that moment, the galaxy would never be the same again. Ambassador Seok Park's hands trembled slightly as he watched the human technological display. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. Centuries of galactic diplomatic conditioning began to crumble in those few moments of observation. The human fleet wasn't just showing military might. They were demonstrating a level of strategic thinking that felt almost sentient. Each movement, each technological adaptation seemed to carry a deeper message, a complex communication beyond traditional understanding. Diplomatic protocols that had worked for thousands of years suddenly felt obsolete. Humans had not just developed advanced technology. They had reimagined the entire concept of technological interaction. Their systems didn't just respond. They anticipated, predicted, and transformed in real time. Seok Park's neural implants began recording unprecedented levels of cognitive stress. The traditional hierarchical understanding of galactic civilizations was collapsing. Humans weren't just another species to be categorized or managed. They were a fundamental disruption to everything the Galactic Confederation understood about technological development. Communication intercepts revealed something even more terrifying. The humans seemed almost amused by the diplomatic vessel's attempts to analyze their capabilities. Their communication networks carried an underlying tone of casual superiority, not aggressive, but quietly confident. The psychological warfare was subtle yet profound. Humans didn't need to threaten. Their very existence was a statement of technological potential. Each moment of the demonstration revealed layers of strategic thinking that made traditional diplomatic approaches look like primitive child's play. Seok Park's team began experiencing collective psychological breakdown. Their communication became fragmented, uncertain. Where most first contact scenarios followed predictable patterns, this encounter defied every known diplomatic protocol. The human fleet's adaptive capabilities went beyond military technology. They seemed to be studying the diplomatic vessel as much as the vessel was studying them. Complex algorithms analyzed every minute detail of the interaction, processing information at speeds that seemed impossible. Cultural databases began flooding with unexpected information. Humans had a remarkable ability to understand and adapt to complex systems faster than any known civilization. Their historical records showed a species that consistently broke technological and social limitations. Psychological profiles suggested something even more disturbing. Humans didn't just develop technology. They seemed to have a fundamental relationship with innovation itself. Each technological breakthrough was treated like a collective achievement, a moment of species-wide celebration. The diplomatic vessel's systems continued recording, each moment revealing another layer of human potential. Traditional threat assessment models became completely useless. Humans represented a technological approach that was more organic, more adaptive than any known civilization. Seok Park realized they were witnessing a fundamental shift in galactic understanding. Humans weren't just developing technology. They were reimagining the entire concept of technological evolution. Their approach combined creativity, strategic thinking, and technological innovation in ways that defied conventional understanding. Communication networks continued to reveal complex layers of human interaction. Scientific research, technological development, and cultural exchange happened simultaneously across multiple platforms. Where most civilizations worked in sequential, controlled environments, humans created massive, interconnected innovation ecosystems. The psychological impact went beyond technological capabilities. It challenged fundamental beliefs about species development, technological potential, and interstellar interaction. Humans had compressed technological evolution in ways that made other civilizations look static and limited. As the demonstration continued, Seok Park experienced a profound moment of realization. The Galactic Confederation's approach to first contact, to technological assessment, to understanding new species, everything would need to be completely reimagined. Humans were not just another civilization to be understood or managed. They were a technological force that would fundamentally reshape galactic civilization. The stars outside seemed to shimmer with the weight of this unexpected revelation. Something profound was happening, and no one was prepared for what would come next. The communication chamber aboard the diplomatic vessel fell into a heavy silence. Ambassador Silk Park stared at the incoming transmission from the human fleet, his entire understanding of galactic diplomacy collapsing around him. Admiral Helen Rodriguez's message was calm, precise, and utterly devastating. No dramatic speeches, no threats, just a simple, matter-of-fact communication that would rewrite centuries of galactic diplomatic protocols. "We recognize your presence," her transmission began. "We understand your current assessment of our capabilities. We are prepared to discuss potential collaborative frameworks." The simplicity was more terrifying than any aggressive declaration. Humans weren't asking for submission. They were offering a partnership that suggested complete technological superiority. Silk Park's neural interfaces began processing the transmission's multiple layers. Each word carried complex algorithmic meanings. Mathematical equations embedded within linguistic structures, strategic implications hidden behind seemingly simple diplomatic language. The Galactic Confederation's standard first contact protocols became laughably inadequate. Humans had already analyzed every potential diplomatic scenario before the conversation even began. Their communication wasn't just a message, it was a comprehensive strategic assessment. Diplomatic records would later show this moment as a turning point. Not a military conquest, not a violent invasion, but a systematic, intelligent demonstration of technological potential that made traditional power structures obsolete. The human approach was surprisingly nuanced. They didn't demand surrender. They presented options: collaborative integration or peaceful non-interference. Each option carefully constructed to showcase human strategic thinking. Silk Park's psychological systems began registering extreme stress responses. Thousands of years of diplomatic training couldn't prepare him for this moment. Humans weren't just another species to be categorized or managed. They were a fundamental disruption to galactic civilization. Communication networks revealed something even more profound. Humans viewed this interaction not as a conquest, but as a potential exchange of technological and cultural knowledge. Their approach combined strategic superiority with an almost curious openness. The diplomatic vessel's systems continued recording every microscopic detail. Each moment revealed another layer of human potential. Their technological capabilities suggested they could neutralize any potential resistance without breaking a metaphorical sweat. Transmission after transmission demonstrated a level of strategic thinking that made the Galactic Confederation's most advanced diplomatic algorithms look like primitive calculation tools. Humans had already mapped potential conversation trajectories, predicted response patterns, and prepared nuanced counter-strategies. Ambassador Silk Park realized they were experiencing something unprecedented. This wasn't a traditional first contact scenario. This was a fundamental restructuring of interstellar diplomatic understanding. The human fleet remained positioned with a calm precision that spoke volumes. No aggressive movements, no threatening gestures, just a quiet, confident demonstration of technological potential that made resistance seem not just impossible, but completely illogical. Admiral Rodriguez's final transmission carried a subtle message that would be analyzed for generations. "We are prepared to engage, on our terms, with mutual respect." Those words contained more strategic depth than entire diplomatic archives. Humans weren't conquerors. They were potential partners who happened to be technologically generations ahead of current galactic civilization. Silk Park's final report would become a landmark document. Not a story of defeat, but a narrative of unexpected potential. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. The stars outside the diplomatic vessel seemed to hold their breath, silent witnesses to a moment that would reshape civilization's understanding of technological potential, strategic thinking, and the true meaning of first contact.